It was a crisp, clean game all around, Steve. And they started by setting the tone. Hashtag set the tone in the first inning, piling on 2 runs, stringing together a couple of hits, and then nothing flashy. Wasn't a home run this time. Wasn't a double to the gap, but a couple of balls that are able to get through. Jake Berger with the sac fly. Just get them on, get them over, get them in. That's what they did, and it's effective.
You talk about this all the time. You talk about being opportunistic.
Right.
And one of the points that I've driven home in the early part of the season, and one of the points of frustration, has been that when this team has scored, which has been a rarity in itself, when they've had opportunities to cash in and score multiple runs in an inning, they have not been doing that with consistency. Yeah. So to see them put 2 runs across the board in that first inning right there, really set the tone right there, and put themselves in a position for Dylan Cease to say, hey, I've got a little bit more of a cushion here than I've had in recent outings. So now I can really go out there and, again, just continue to be aggressive and pound the strike zone. And that's the type of thing that this offense really needs to be doing with more consistency here. And if they do that, I think good things are going to start to happen. And I think just overall, the quality of the at-bats and the approach today when Sandoval was in the game was really a stark contrast from what we have seen over the last 2.5 weeks. And it's really mind-numbing to me, the difference in how this team approaches and attacks left-handed pitchers versus righties, going out there and actually taking pitches and getting themselves into counts to where they can actually do damage. Why this team is incapable of doing that against right-handed starters baffles me, to be completely honest with you. But to actually see that here today, that's the type of offensive approach that you want to see on a pitch-to-pitch, at bat-to-bat, game-to-game basis. Because when you see that with more regularity, I think that's going to be a bigger sign of this offense potentially starting to break out.
Right. And we had seen the low walk rates and, drawing the fewest amount of walks through almost, basically the first almost full month of the season. You would have, it's kind of, like you said, mind numbing a little bit to where you'd think, okay, if it's a right-handed heavy lineup, which we have, wouldn't they want to take those extra pitches and put themselves in a better position when you have the righty-righty matchup? I know the left, it's a little bit more favorable when you've got a bunch of righties going up there trying to stroke it against a lefty, but you would think that they would try to give themselves a better cushion, a better pad in doing that. But just, I don't know. I want them to be a little bit more patient even further now, but I'll take the result today. But let's just hope that the overall approach improves, Steve. And this is something that can set the tone now for the month of May, since we're in it here. And one other thing, too, we talk about, their guy Matt in the comments here, scoring with runners in scoring position is kind of a big deal. Obviously, saw him able to do that in that first inning there. Even in that win on Saturday, Steve, Tony, and I talked about it after, and we were finally got off, the schneid again and had something to celebrate again. So Tony didn't really have much negative to say. My one point to harp on was the runners in scoring position not being opportunistic, and they left 11 on or something like that in Friday's game or in Saturday's game, and that was a game that they won 4-0. So to see it come through today, that was an encouraging sign, and also to see some of that, because it can kind of be like a cliche, they rallied and just came up short on Sunday, so that's hopefully that builds momentum. Well, it actually did today, I think, in my opinion. I don't know about you.
Yeah, a couple points there. So that was one of the things, actually being in the ballpark on Saturday and watching that kind of firsthand. I had tweeted out on a couple of different occasions that at some point this team is going to have to nut up and actually punch a run across the plate when they have runners in scoring position in less than 2 outs. So again, that's why that first inning I think was so crucial to see them go out there and be able to execute and get a job done. My collegiate baseball coach, the immortal Steve Ruzich, used to say all the time when somebody would try to lay down a sacrifice bunt or try to bunt for a hit and it would go foul, and people in the dugout would always be clapping and saying, oh, good idea. And he would always follow up with, fuck that. How about instead of having a good idea, somebody goes out there and does a good job? So to see them go out there today and do a good job, that's what I want to see more of.